I have 3 tips I'd like to share for making rules in the home, and these 3 tips correspond to a prior video I've done on 3 reasons for making rules in the home. So the first tip is make the rules show your love. Because the first reason for making rules is how important it is to teach the fundamental truth of a connection between authority and love. So in the receiving of rules, our children should experience that this is an act of love, that this is flowing from love. So consider this. Or we're in a situation where a child is acting up, does something kind of wacky, and wouldn't this be kind of classic? Well, it would be for me, that I'd say, all right, that's it. From now on, we've got a rule that you don't such and such, for goodness sake. You know, it seems to me a child will tend to experience that as rules are made so that daddy doesn't get embarrassed. Or worse sometimes, it might be that, so that daddy's life isn't, so he's not inconvenienced. And so we need to be checking ourselves. We need to make sure that the rules that we make indeed are coming from a place of love and are not coming from or too deeply mixed with this kind of frustration / hey, our life is tough. Our children are acting up. This isn't working well. And all that might be somewhat true. But rules need to come from a place of love. So first of all here, the tip is make sure that's the case and make sure we convey that in how we are making and promulgating them. So the second tip then is make rules that are specific and clear about important things. So let me just give an example of a rule that is about an important thing, but it's not specific and clear. Be good to guests. The thought behind it is very important. It's a very important part of life, but it's not specific and clear. Compare that with always greet our guests. There's a certain specificity, there's a certain clarity that gives very comprehensible direction. And at the same time, it is about something very important. Right? How we treat our guests is something that it forms the mind, forms the heart. This is a big part of life. So I'd like to suggest here in this tip, again, it was a couple things kind of smushed together, specific, clear, and about important things, because these things go together. We're not going to make rules about just anything. And we can't multiply them. Here's something that's not an important enough topic or issue to make a rule about. Well, don't move daddy's slippers. That might be a kind of directive that we point out to our children that if my slippers are someplace important, please don't move them. Don't think that rises to the level of something that there would be a rule about. So again, this is part of the art of parenting. There's lots of direction that's given, not in the form of rules. But very fundamental direction is given in the form of rules. And it needs to be specific and clear. It needs to be about important things. Third tip is make it an opportunity to enact our marriage in a very special way. In other words, thinking about what rules to make should be an opportunity for my wife and me to come together and to do something utterly unique. So to be really intentional about, here's the way of enacting our marriage, here's the way of enacting our parenting in a uniquely important way, and the reality is we need one another in this. This is one of the areas where most clearly we need the insights of the other. We need to think together, each bring our own insights, maybe about the particularities of life in our home and of these children and of the times in which we live. So we need to actually set aside time. I think we often miss this. Doesn't this go back to how many of the rules that we make just kind of pop out at some moment where we recognize, something's not working here. So again, this third tip is, let's be intentional. Let's get together in our marriage and recognize, hey, wow, making rules is a wonderful thing that will bring us together. And then, once again, as usual, what's good for us in our marriage actually is precisely what's good for them too.